a full-ride scholarship to a top 25 US law school so that I could speak with you today. Sort of. Of course, the real dig-in deep situation that took me from Dean's List law student to owning a copywriting business and giving this talk today is much more complicated than that. It involved personal relationships, mental health, and a rediscovery of my own values. But in very real terms, I would not be here in this room with you today if I hadn't decided after 2 years of prep and 7 months of classes to drop out of law school. Instead, I'd be spending my Saturday in my apartment, surrounded by highlighters and 6-pound casebooks, and I wouldn't even be thinking about the possibility of giving a TEDx talk. I want everyone to close your eyes. And if you're someone who can picture images in your head, go ahead and imagine yourself stepping onto a quiet treadmill. And if you're someone like me who can't see pictures in my mind, just one of my neurodivergencies, go ahead and close your eyes and relax as you follow along with the story. So you're stepping onto a quiet, motionless treadmill. You begin to stroll, and the treadmill naturally matches your pace, warming up with a quiet hum. The treadmill's track turns at a nice rate, and you're feeling good. But little by little, you notice the treadmill picking up speed. It moves faster and faster, and after a while, your arms are swinging and you're panting. You're struggling to catch your breath. You're not sure how much longer you can go at this breakneck speed, but you know if you slow your pace, you'll get sucked under. So you frantically look around for an off button, or at least one that says, for Pete's sake, slow this thing down. But you've stepped onto the treadmill of life, and there is no off button. Go ahead and open your eyes. Shake that off. Take a deep breath. It's not a great feeling being stuck there, just desperately trying to keep going, right? Most of us find ourselves on this kind of life treadmill at some point. We realize a relationship is no longer fulfilling us, but we're afraid of what's next, or we're afraid of hurting the people around us, so we keep sprinting. Or we find ourselves years into the college to post-grad track and discover that our education isn't propelling us toward the life we want, but we've spent so much money and time already that it's hard to let go. So we keep sprinting. Or we struggle to jump from promotion to promotion at work and wind up in a career that's just not the right fit for our values or our dreams. But we're making money, the benefits are good, and the grass is always greener, right? So we keep sprinting. Our treadmill keeps turning, keeps pushing us faster, and with no off button, it can feel impossible to let that relationship, that schooling, that career, let it all go. And I believe this mindset, this experience of feeling stuck, goes back to a lesson that I think most of us learn early on when we join a club or a sports team. And that lesson is that the most important thing when we start a thing is to finish it. We're told, just push through. You'll look back and be glad you stuck with it. When the going gets tough, even Dory said it, right? Just keep swimming. But I don't believe that the most important thing is finishing what we start. Now, I don't want anyone walking out of here saying, you know, I saw this TEDx talk and the speaker, Cathlyn Melvin, she said we should quit stuff as soon as things get hard. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that we need to reframe that mindset, that the end goal of a thing shouldn't necessarily be getting to the end. It shouldn't be simply surviving through it. I'm saying what's important is knowing who we want to be, what world we want to create, and making choices that move us in that direction. But we can't move in the right direction toward values, dreams, and outcomes if we're stuck on a treadmill facing the same. If we're going to achieve our goals, if we're going to live the life we want, we have to get off that treadmill. and I know a secret way. Now, it's not easy. It can be complicated, and it can be scary, but it's worth it, and you can make it happen. In order to get off the treadmill of life, what you need to do is take a brave leap sideways, and here's what I mean by that. On the treadmill of life, as it goes and goes without slowing or stopping, you have two choices. You can keep sprinting forward, gasping for air and yearning for relief, or you can vault yourself over that handrail and land on the ground next to it, leaving you the freedom to find your own path and your own pace. That jump, that moment when you decide to stop sprinting and instead hurdle the handrail, that is your brave leap sideways. Taking a brave leap sideways can be painful. You might roll an ankle or tweak a shoulder as you dismount. You might land on uneven or rocky ground. You might have to limp. You might have to crawl. But those injuries are temporary, and you will be limping, crawling in the direction of your values and dreams instead of sprinting towards something you may not even want in the first place. My background is in classical theater performance. For 10 years after undergrad, I worked as an actor, and I loved it. It fulfilled me in so many ways. But as I got older, my values changed. I decided to go to law school. I studied for a year, then took the entrance exam, and then I lost someone important to me. Suddenly everything shifted again. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to law school anymore, but what else was I going to do? In the midst of the worst depression of my life, dealing with this tremendous loss, it was all I could do to keep trudging forward on the treadmill I had placed myself on over a year earlier. So I managed to submit my school applications, and the University of Gainesville offered me a full ride under their governor's scholarship. So I moved to Gainesville, and I started classes. My treadmill kept rolling. Did you know that 1 out of every 3 law students leaves law school with an addiction they didn't have when they started? Law school sucks. Even for a dedicated, detail-oriented, academia-loving student like me. I thought that being in school might help distract me from my grief, but instead I felt worse and worse. And as I pushed through, I justified my efforts. I told myself I had already invested so much time, so much energy, so much money. Surely it was worth 2.5 more years of suck to walk out with a degree. That might mean something to someone. I told myself I had no marketable skills. I had no other opportunities in front of me. I had to get a degree in order to take care of myself. I told myself my friends and my family all seemed to think that law school was just the right fit for me, so I must be overthinking things. Besides, if I quit, they'd all feel like I never really appreciated their support. And there were some little truths in there. Yes, I had invested time, energy, money. Yes, I had previously worked jobs that were super unhealthy for my introverted, highly sensitive, quiet self. Yes, my community really was supportive. And when I told them I had dropped out of law school and was focusing on my writing business, they kept right on supporting me. And that's what I mean when I say we need to reframe this mindset, that the end goal of a thing shouldn't just be getting to the end. The end of law school is taking the bar exam. It's becoming an attorney. But I realized I didn't want to be an attorney. If I had hated law school, but still wanted to practice law, I would have had to decide if the pain of school was worth the experience of being an attorney, and maybe I would have decided to push through those next 2.5 years. But that's not what I wanted. When I took a hard look at my values, how I wanted to show up in the world. When I thought about the world I wanted to create, I knew I couldn't live that life if I chose to practice law. Now, law school does lead some people to their perfect missions, and they do great things. But for me, it was a treadmill, and I needed to get off. So I had some hard conversations, cried a lot, took a deep breath, and took my brave leap sideways. And honestly, I haven't had even a fraction of a portion of a slice of a percentage of a moment of regret. That brave leap sideways was exactly what I needed. And I want to put it out there that every situation is different. I was not brave enough to drop out of law school on my own. My best friend, who happens to be a business coach, when I talked with her over winter break, she said, "You need to leave. You need to be writing. We will figure out how to make this work for you." And I know not everybody has a support system like that. I am incredibly fortunate. And because not everyone has that privilege, we all have that responsibility. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you may need to take your brave leap sideways, but you're not sure if you can land, I believe in you. I believe you are strong enough to make that leap, to land safely and get going on the path that takes you where you want to go, even if you're not sure where that is yet. This is me holding out my hands to you. And you may not feel like you're stuck. Right now, you might feel like you are going in the direction you want to be headed at a pace that feels comfortable to you. And if that's you, I want you to notice the people around you. Not just here in the seats in this room with us today, but the people around you in your everyday life. Your coworkers, your children, your friends. I want you to hold your hands out to them and tell them you have a secret for them. It's the brave leap sideways.